Welcome in, y'all, to my Week 6 NFL picks. I'm having a great year so far, sitting in the 98th percentile against the spread, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my weekly picks and my best picks. But let's jump right into this with Thursday Night Football. We have a nice NFC East matchup for us, and this should be a fun one. You know, both teams coming off losses. Jackson Dart, the first of his career. The Eagles, their first since last December. And it's a 7.5 point spread for this one. The Eagles have been outgained, I heard, in all 5 games so far this year, but they find ways to win football games. They found a way to lose one last week, and they lost it by not handing the ball to Barkley. You would assume they're going to do that more this week, but with A.J. Brown constantly complaining, it makes it tough to do. So I think you could start to get some locker room turmoil there in Philadelphia. It's happened before in the past, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But as far as this one goes, I touched on Philly finding ways to win, at least over the last, however many games. And I think they continue to do that here. I think they get the job done in New York, but 7.5 right now is just too much from the Eagles to take in this one. So I like Jackson Dart and the Giants to kind of keep it relatively close throughout. I think this one could kind of be a sneaky, fun Thursday night game. 2 rivals going at it. So, yeah, that's my pick for Thursday night. But now let's turn our attention to Sunday, more specifically Sunday morning, as the Broncos and the Jets are set to go at it overseas. Broncos coming off a big road win over the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, who we've already talked about. The Jets are looking for their first win of the season, and they're looking to do it overseas. So Broncos being favored by 7.5 in this one, and they've earned it. You know, it was a rough start to the season maybe for Denver, starting at 1-2 with their only win, a lackluster one over Tennessee. But these last 2 weeks, they've definitely stepped it up a little bit with a dominant performance over Cincinnati and then a huge road win over Philadelphia. This Denver team is really starting to look like the team we thought they could. The Jets, on the other hand, are just concerning. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. The offense is moving the ball well. If you look at the box score from last game, it looks great. It looks very good. The biggest issue is the self-inflicted wounds. It's turnovers, it's penalties, and they need to clean that up. But until they do, I definitely can't pick them to win this game. I do have Denver winning this one, but the way the Jets have been moving the ball against, and they're playing Denver, whose strong suit is the defense, I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm going to take the Jets to lose by 7, so that is having the Broncos or the Jets actually cover that 7.5 point spread. But like I said, Broncos win the game, and I think they win it fairly comfortably, but do keep an eye out for an upset here on this one. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but the Jets defense is pretty rough though at the same time. But let's go ahead and turn our attention to the 1 o'clock Eastern games. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, both teams' most recent game is overseas. Cleveland without a bye, though, which is curious. The Steelers are favored by 4.5 at home. Should be Gabriel again for the Browns, especially now that Flacco has been traded to the Bengals. And the Browns defense has showed a lot of talent, a lot of great stuff. We kind of expected it to be a good defense, but the offense just isn't there. Gabriel was fine last week. He didn't go above and beyond. He wasn't horrible. It doesn't look like he's going to win them a ton of games, but he wasn't making a bunch of mistakes, which is good. The Steelers seem to be playing better and better. Rodgers looks really good, honestly. He looks locked in. The O-line, I have some questions with, as far as the running game goes and, pass protection, but they need to shore that up against this Cleveland defense. But 4.5 to me, Pittsburgh at home coming off the bye, I don't think that's enough. I don't trust Cleveland's offense to get enough going, so go ahead and give me the Steelers to win this thing 23-14 at home. They take care of business and move to 4-1 there. Then we move to Florida. We have the Chargers going cross-country, visiting the Dolphins. 2 tough losses for the Chargers. There's really no other way to slice it. You get upset on the road against a below-average Giants team. Then the Commanders come into your house and beat you by 3 scores. Just a tough 2-game stretch. A lot of injuries piling up for the Chargers. And I know that makes it tough, but this team should be doing better. The Dolphins have their own injuries and their own locker room issues. They're probably going to clean house, at least with the coaching staff this offseason. So very interesting matchup here. But at the end of the day, I trust the Chargers way more than Dolphins. Chargers are only favored by 4.5. I think the Chargers win this game by multiple scores. 27-13 is my final. And you might be asking, what about the cross-country trip? That's tough for teams, the early start. And I'll say what I said before the Giants game. Obviously, this wasn't the case for that game. They just weren't prepared. But last year, you look back, the Chargers in this same situation with Harbaugh, they dominated in these games, oddly enough. So, I like the Chargers to win that one. No concerns about the early start. Then we move to the Superdome. We have the Saints coming off their first win of the season. Spencer Rattler, the first win of his career. Good for him. Drake May and the Patriots coming off a huge road win against their division rivals. They're hoping to put up a fight in the AFC East, which would certainly go against a lot of people's expectations this year. So exciting stuff in New England right now. And they have a chance to go to 4-2, and their schedule coming up is remarkably easy. They have to take advantage of it. They cannot be losing games like this. And this one scares me a little bit. It wouldn't scare me too much if you didn't show me the line, but New England only favored by 3.5 coming off a big road win in Buffalo definitely scares me a little bit because it feels like it should be higher. However, I am still going to take New England, and I'm still going to take them to cover. New England has more talent than New Orleans. New Orleans is not a very talented team, but I will give the Saints credit. They look well coached this year. They're showing good discipline. They're playing relatively clean games. So good stuff from New Orleans despite a decent lack of talent, but I think the Patriots are just a bit better in this one. They get the job done on the road. And then we move to Indianapolis. The Colts, who jumped up to second in my power rankings, and I think they deserve it, sitting at 4-1, looking to go to 5-1 against the Cardinals, who had one of the most heartbreaking losses I've ever seen. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. The two mistakes that were made, the fumble at the goal line and the fumbled interception that turned into a touchdown, both of those just insane. Hard to believe those happened. And they're sitting at 2-3 all of a sudden after a good 2-0 start to the season. So can they bounce back on the road here? Indy has just looked dominant this season. Their only loss is on the road against a very good Rams team, and you had that Adonai Mitchell fumble at the goal line that you don't have that, and they might be 5-0. So I do like the Colts in this one to win for sure, and I'm going to take them to cover, but let me tell you, I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great. The Cardinals are a team, they're middle of the road. They're average, but they're a little bit better than you might think sitting at 2-3. They should have won last week, and they play fairly close games. So we'll see on this one. 6.5 is a lot of points here, but I've rode with the Colts all season long in these picks, and I'm going to do it once again and just trust them to get that done to win and cover at home there. But then we move on to Jacksonville, where the Jaguars are coming off a massive Monday Night Football victory against the Chiefs, moved to 4-1, and all of a sudden, what an exciting race this is in the AFC South. 2 4-1 teams that were not expected, and I am absolutely loving it. I love when teams come out of nowhere. Maybe not nowhere, but I love when unexpected teams have good records. It's a lot of fun, and it just creates more fun football to watch. But Seattle coming off a tough loss, home against Tampa Bay, one of those games just came down to whoever had the football last. That was Tampa Bay. They got the job done with the last-second field goal. But these are two good teams going at it here in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is favored by 1.5. And, I was kind of hoping they would lose Monday night because I was kind of set on taking Jacksonville here, and I still am. My pick is Jacksonville to win and cover, but I was hoping Seattle would be favored in this one. And I think Seattle was favored in this one until Jacksonville won on Monday night. But I will still stick with the Jaguars, but I think it's going to be a tight game. These are two good teams. If this is in Seattle, I think I'm taking the Seahawks. So, this is going to be a very, very tight game. I expect it to come down to the wire and to be on the lower scoring side. But these are two good teams. Excited to see this one. Next up, though, we have the 2-1 Dallas Cowboys visiting the 2-3 Carolina Panthers. Cowboys are favored by 3.5 in this one. And this one was really a tough one to pick because the Panthers have been so back and forth this season. Their two home games, they've looked very good. A 30-0 win over the Falcons and a late comeback win over the Dolphins. Their road games, though, have been pretty rough. They have not looked good whatsoever in their road games, but this one's at home. So, how much does that really matter to this team? It's seeming like it matters a lot, especially if you go back to last year. They played a bit better at home, especially later in the season. But the Cowboys, they're starting to look like they could be a playoff contender. The offense and Dak Prescott are firing on all cylinders, so plenty of faith in them. It really comes down to this really bad Cowboys defense. What can they do? Last week they did better, at least on the scoreboard. They ended up giving up 22 points, but that game was, I think, 30-3 pretty late into the game. What I didn't like to see, though, is although the points were low, the Jets were moving the ball pretty well against the Cowboys, so that is still concerning, but keeping the points off the board is really all that matters. And they were able to do that until garbage time. So maybe the defense is taking a step up. This is what I went back and forth on, at least for the spread. I do like the Cowboys to win this game, but I have my concerns on the spread. I'm going to take them, I think 28-24 in this one. I just think the Cowboys offense shows so much promise here that I'm going to take them to cover this one. But, look out. Carolina had that ground game going like crazy last week. Dottle looked amazing. I think over 200 yards on the ground. So if they can do that again, they're going to win most of the games they play if you can run the football like that. But that is a tough performance to replicate. We'll see if they can do it. But I will take the Cowboys 28-24 in that one. But our next one here is one that it's tough to pick this early in the week. The Rams are favored by 7 right now. And right now I am making this pick on the assumption Lamar Jackson is not playing. I believe that's very much up in the air with each day that passes. I think more and more he might be playing in this game, especially with how bad Cooper Rush did last week. But as of right now, with the line still sitting at 7, I have to assume he's not playing. So with that being said, the Ravens are so banged up. They might get a couple guys back on the defensive side of things, but the defense has been rough all year long. It's been beat up all year long. With Lamar Jackson out, Cooper Rush was not playing well. I just really don't have any faith in Baltimore to get this win, especially the Rams coming off extra rest, and they're probably pretty angry how that Thursday night game turned out. So I'll take the Rams to win this one 30-17. I think they cover 7. Again, if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. If Lamar Jackson plays, I'm going to have to see how healthy is he, what are they saying about it. So it's tough. There's a lot of question marks around this game, but as things sit right now, 30-17 Rams is my pick in this one. But then we're going to turn our attention to the late games. We have Tennessee visiting Las Vegas, 2 1-4 teams, 2 bad teams. Raiders favored by a full 4.5, which to me is one of those things. I think it was a bit higher. I think it might have been up at 5.5. But it's one of those that signals something to me because people probably see that. They see 2 1-4 teams, 2 bad teams. Raiders just lost 40-6, and they're being favored by 4.5. That seems like a lot, which is what is pushing me towards them because I do think the Raiders are just better. Also, first off, I trust the quarterback more right now. I trust the coaching more right now. Tennessee, the coaching seems rough, and they really shouldn't have won last week. So I'm going to take the Raiders to win this one, and I'm going to take them to win it by a touchdown here. I think 24-17 in this one. Again, at the end of the day, these are 2 bad teams going at it. So, weird things can happen, but I'm going to stick with the Raiders in this one. But in our next one here, we have Cincinnati visiting Green Bay in what was originally the main, Tony Romo, Jim Nantz CBS game of the 425 window. But boy, has it been a fall from grace for Cincinnati as soon as Burrow went down. They have since traded for Joe Flacco today, while I was making this actually. So we'll see how that factors. I'd be surprised if he started right away, but, we'll see. Especially if Browning continues to struggle. Packers are favored by a full 14.5 in this one. That is a lot of points. And the Bengals have just been horrible. Browning can't stop turning the ball over. The offensive line can offer zero protection. It's very bad. It doesn't matter how good the receivers are at the moment. And all that stacked up against them, it feels like Green Bay should be a blowout. However, Green Bay, they're a steady team. They're not like one of those high octane offense blowout teams. I think they finish around 30, and I think Cincinnati, I think it might be a late touchdown, and I think Cincinnati covers this one. I have it 30-17. I don't think the game is close. I don't think it's one of those, the Bengals are right there, they almost had it, but I do think that this is one that 14.5 is a lot of points, and the way these two teams play, I think the Bengals still have the ability to put up points despite their struggles. But when the Packers get ahead, I think they want to run the clock, run the ball, which is going to lead to shorter games, and all it takes is one late touchdown from Cincinnati to get that thing within 14.5. So I will take the Bengals to cover, and obviously the Packers to win. But then we move on to what is now the main CBS late game at 4:25 Eastern. It is the Bucs hosting the Niners, two 4-1 teams, two teams coming off wins against teams from the NFC West, and this is a really good game. I haven't heard yet if Purdy will be going, but after Mac Jones played so well last week, you would imagine that they will keep Purdy out unless he's absolutely 100% good to go. But Tampa Bay is favored by 2.5 in this one, which, that feels about right. I honestly would have it a bit higher. And the Niners won last week, yes, on the road, but it took a lot of Rams mistakes, and I mean a lot of Rams mistakes, including 2 red zone fumbles on what looked to be scoring drives in order for San Fran to narrowly win that one in overtime. Tampa Bay went on the road, banged up, and looked amazing against Seattle. I think Tampa Bay is the better team in this one. I trust Baker and the Bucs to get it done, and if it's tight down to the end, I trust Baker down to the wire. So give me the Bucs to win and give me the Bucs to cover this one, but I think it will be a close and a fun football game. Looking forward to this one. The Bucs seem to be playing a lot of fun games this year, so should be a good one, but one of these teams is going to move to 5-1, and that's awesome. So good for them. Good starts to the season there, regardless of that game's outcome. But now we turn our attention to Sunday Night Football, and the Chiefs they're on the ropes, man. 2-3, and they're playing the team who I currently have number 1 in the power rankings, the Detroit Lions, and this is tough. Kansas City is favored by 2.5 last I checked a few hours ago in this one, and this borders on a must-win game for the Chiefs. I mean, they're still the Chiefs. They could lose this one, drop to 2-4, and end up 13-4, but it's been a little shaky. It's been shaky. They got to start winning games. We're far enough in now. You can't keep dropping these close ones. It's the opposite of last year, So this is a big game. It's prime time. That crowd going. Last time Detroit played Kansas City, we all remember that one. It was the season opener a couple years back. Detroit came into Arrowhead and got the win. They're looking for a repeat of that one in this game. And while I think Detroit is more than capable of that, I'm going to take the Chiefs at home here. I just, I think everyone's picking the Lions, but the Chiefs are favored, and the Chiefs, they're kind of on the ropes. They have the home crowd behind them. They're still the Chiefs, still Mahomes, still Reed. I think the Chiefs find a way to sneak this one out. I have them winning 34-30 in a high-scoring, super fun, super close Sunday Night Football game. But now let us talk about Monday Night Football, where we have a double header. Should be a lot of fun. 7:15 and 8:15 Eastern. Gets kicked off with Buffalo visiting Atlanta. Got a nice throwback uniform matchup there. That should look nice. Bills only favored by 3.5 in this one, which that's kind of weird to me. I know the Bills lost at home to the Patriots, and I've been talking about it. They looked a little shaky against the Dolphins and Saints too, but at the same time, the Bills are a very, very good football team. They have Josh Allen at quarterback, and the Falcons, they're good. They're fine, but I just don't think they can win this game, in my opinion. I know they're coming off a bye, but the Bills coming off that tough loss, they're going to be coming out with a vengeance, really trying to get back on track, and I think they do so here. I think it's a high-scoring game. I have Buffalo 34-28 in this one. I think this one should be a lot of fun, honestly. It may be a little bit of back and forth there, These are two teams you don't see go at it very often. So definitely looking forward to this one, especially that uniform matchup. And the Bills look to get back on track, go to 5-1. But this would be a huge win if Atlanta somehow pulled it off, moved to 3-2, and try to compete with the Bucs in that division. But then we're going to move on to the second of the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. It's the Bears and the Commanders in Washington. We remember how this game went last year. The Hail Mary that was tipped and caught, winning the game for Washington. That was a huge win. The Bears lost so many straight games after that. I don't off the top of my head remember how many, but they were about to go to 5-2 and instead fell to 4-3 and then just continued to lose for a couple months in a row. They're looking to set the story right in this one. They're looking to come in here and get the win this time. And while I do think they are capable, Washington has just been very impressive to me. They went 1-1 without, Jaden Daniels, which was nice. They stayed afloat. And then he comes back, and they look good offensively against the Chargers. But what looks really good is that defense. They shut down the Chargers, held them to 10 points in their own house. If Washington's defense starts playing some top-level football, this team becomes a whole lot more dangerous. So I am going to take Washington to win this one, but I am going to take Chicago to cover that 4.5. It's kind of a weird number to me. It's one of those, I saw it. I don't know what I expected it to be, but I thought it would be a bit higher. And I think you're going to get a lot of people picking Washington at home, especially after that big road win. So, like I said, I do like Washington to win, but I think Chicago keeps it close. Let's not forget, while it was a messy game on both sides, low scoring, without that Hail Mary, Chicago kind of had that game won last year. I know the teams are different, rosters have changed, we're a whole year down the line, but that's something to keep in mind in this one. But this should be a very fun Monday night doubleheader, should be the best doubleheader so far. I think next week or in 2 weeks, I think it actually is next week, we get Lions, Bucs, and Texans, Seahawks. That should be a really fun doubleheader, but this one is fun as well. So we're looking forward to another great week of football. And, of course, please let me know what your picks are. I love to hear it. And, if you're going to say something about my picks, I definitely want to see yours as well. So thank you all for enjoying this video, and I hope the week goes well.